All right, now I've been saying that we all need to kind of back down and give Anthony Weiner time to deal with these issues and repair his marriage, especially now that the New York Times is reporting that Weiner's wife is pregnant. That just adds to the stakes here. Now, maybe that's why his wife has been so clear that she's going to stand by her man. In the midst of all this, she, however, has flown off on business with her boss, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. I have real concerns for the man here, especially with this news coming from the New York Times. This once powerful Washington player appears to be in free fall. Watch this.
I'm not resigning, no.
His wife of less than a year, Huma Abedin, is sticking by Weiner. She's sticking by her Weiner.
I'm not here to defend Weiner.
What do you think?
That's all I'm going to say.
What advice would you give him if he asked you?
Call somebody else.
I have a huge staff. It's one of the biggest in all of New York.
Anthony Weiner is a bad guy. He's a psycho.
One of the photos, Congressman Weiner apparently forgot to wear his shirt.
How did this picture come to be sent?
We just sent that one day.
And what did you think when you got this?
I was like, wow, because I could see the background. I mean, anybody can zoom into that. It's not that hard.
In the background, pictures of Weiner's wife and President Clinton.
I knew he'd have something to do with this.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your patience.
Well, I particularly appreciate Donald Trump's very sophisticated psychological analysis there. Very good. Well, speaking of a psychologist, joining me now is Michelle Golland. She is a clinical psychologist who works with couples in distress. Also with me by satellite is Steve Santagati, who takes the position all men are not designed to biologically be with just one female. Steve, the baby news coming from the New York Times, does this add anything to your feelings about this case?
No, Dr. Drew, because anybody can have a baby. Doesn't mean you're in love. He had sex with his wife. Maybe they wanted to have a child, but they probably shouldn't because they're both too busy to actually raise a child effectively anyway. But no, like I said to Cameron earlier today, the number one thing in a man's biobehavioral imperatives is sex. It'll control him more than anything else in his psyche. And so this guy who's screaming, shame, shame, shame on the House floor is the same guy now that needs to point that finger back at himself. I mean, come on, you shouldn't be getting caught doing this stuff. That's a big problem.
Well, right. So you're saying just it's okay to do it, just don't get caught. But Steve, what about your position?
Yeah, stupid.
Men...
I mean,
go ahead.
We're not. Listen, if you look at nature, Dr. Drew, we as human beings, we have the only thing that separates us from animals, really, and you know this, is the frontal lobe of our brain, which is simply a filter to tell us not to do certain things. But the bottom line is our foundation as men, we are programmed to want to mate with as many females as possible. That's millions of years of evolution. That's not my theory. That's just the way it is. So when you get a guy like Weiner, and all of a sudden now he's got power, and girls are saying, oh, I'm attracted to you, and he has this very unnatural technology that exposes him to thousands of millions of women possibly, he can take access to that. He's basically, all he's doing is acting on his natural instinct. That's it. It's that simple.
All right, hold on. I'll have my response to that in just a second. Steve, Michelle, your response.
Well, I have to say, one of the things that I think is so interesting in his point of view is, that's right, we all have natural instincts, right?
Yeah.
But it's the babies of the world, actually infants, that need instant gratification.
Right.
They're the ones, our frontal cortex is actually the one part of our brain that helps us regulate emotion too and understand consequences for one's behavior.
Yes.
And so, to me, his position is just simply a very infantile position.
Steve, you're a little boy.
Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. Why don't you study people like Carl Sagan and Anne Ryan wrote a book called The Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors, and you'll see that it's the foundation. Just as a woman, listen, ladies, try to stop wanting an alpha male. Try to stop not wanting a strong guy. You are programmed to want the best, strongest man you can get with. That's just science. That's nature. This is nothing we can fight against. It's who we are as animals. We all put on these suits and this air conditioning, etc., but at the foundation of all of us, we are animals, and we will respond to what nature tells us to do. Now, I will agree with you on everything.
Michelle's got a point, Steve. Hold on. Hold on, Steve. She's going to rub. Go ahead.
I have to say that the thing, Dr. Drew, is what I believe that couples are for each other, is that we actually, if we are partnered with someone who is willing to do the emotional work with us, meaning willing to be committed, willing to go through the conflict, if that means also birth and traumas, good and bad traumas, we actually can become our better selves through our marriages.
Okay, so
that's what I do.
So you're interested in having a stable monogamous relationship as being healthy and better. Steve, I want to
so is my husband of 20 years.
Well, Steve, I want to challenge you.
She didn't address.
No, see, let me address it. You, I believe, are talking about the behavior of young men who are under the influence of a drug called testosterone. I get that. Young guys need to get that crap out of their system early, so when the levels start falling and they're not under the influence of that drug so profoundly, they can do something healthier, which is form a intimate, stable, monogamous relationship that sustains over time, that's healthy for children, so they can raise kids in that environment. Every measure of male health shows that men are better off in a stable, monogamous relationship. Every measure for children shows that they're better with a stable family, where the husband and wife are together and love one another. It is possible. I'm here to tell you it's possible. It is possible. Now, I'm not sure I could have done it at 23. I don't think I could have when testosterone was making me crazy. I understand that biology.
I have to say, what you're also missing is that women cheat as well. To me, cheating is about the inability to control one's impulses and the need for instant gratification.
Well, and that's where the addictive piece gets in. Steve, I want to talk about one other thing here. Now, I think that cheating is whenever you're engaged in a behavior that if your partner walked in the room and saw you doing it, he or she would not like it. It would be harm them. It would hurt them. That's everybody think that way. When you're doing something, imagine your wife's or husband's watching you do it. Think how they would feel. But
that's a good
how do you think? Okay, good. Do you think men and women differ in terms of their response to, say, online texting, online intimate conversation? Let me ask you, if your girlfriend or your wife is online chatting with some guy, does that bug you?
No, not at all. And I'll tell you why. Because, first of all,
well, what if she's sending pictures?
I'll tell you why. Well, we might have an issue with that. But listen,
all right. So the picture.
Women consider going to a strip bar, and with men, if their boyfriend or husband goes to a strip bar, women consider that cheating. Women consider emotional cheating, which I don't agree with. It has to hold on. You can in a second. Zipit.com. 1 second. The bottom line is that it's only cheating if there's physical contact. That's how I define it. I think flirting is healthy.
I think a lot of them
take it too far.
I mean, Steve, I feel like you have a tendency to lump an entire group of gender into these statements.
It's true.
It's very, how do I say, it's very base. It's very base level.
It's true. We're men are base. We're all the same. We're all the same.
Well,
guys, first of all, this is a television show, not a documentary. I only have a finite amount of time, so I have to speak in generalities. That only makes common sense. The fact of the matter is, plumbers, politicians, carpenters, or architects, we're men first. That's why Clinton did it. That's why Schwarzenegger did it. I can go on. Tiger Woods.
I
got to stop you. I got to stop you guys, and I got to wrap this up and say, you were right. Some men do that all the time. Some men don't develop the capacity. Hang on, Steve. There is a richer thing for men to achieve, and it is real intimate conversation and connection with another person. And when you're in a deeply committed, genuinely intimate connection with another person, it's hard to do that to them. It is hard to do. Even though you may still have those impulses, your frontal lobe will contain them. Steve, thank you so much. Michelle, thank you so much as well. I do think Steve had an important point, is that women do see intimate conversation on the internet as cheating. Men aren't as prone to see that. Sending pictures, men see as cheating. Touching, men see as cheating.